and welcome again to 10 Minutes With. And today we're going into India with Sanjay. Sanjay, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Han.
Thank you. Sanjay, please state your full name and the company you represent.
Hi, my name is Sanjay Kapoor. I represent Studio 360 and we operate all across India.
All across India. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this series 10 Minutes With. Because if we, from an international perspective, come into India, what is the best way to reach the Indian audience if we look at exhibit design, product displays from that perspective? What is the best way to handle?
Han, I think that one needs to be honest to one's identity. One doesn't necessarily need to color or present oneself in a particular country's perspective. You need to be true to your products, your identity, and also stay with what works best with you. So I think that is a standard practice which would serve you pretty well all across India.
All right. And if we look at design, do you prefer like the clear lines and very linear design, or is there a whole different direction which works in India?
According to me, both systems work in India. However, I would still stay with my opening statement that if you are an international company coming with products and services to India to sell those products here, the design has to reflect the company's ethos and the way you would operate. So rather than trying to color yourself to match in with the locals, or if I may say so, you should think in terms of international designs, international standards. However, there are a few limitations with respect to infrastructure. So working with a local partner, share the design, share the requirements, but stay within the overall, let's say, corporate philosophy or the CI guidelines you have.
If we look at, suppose we have a product-oriented stand, we have a lot of products. Is it required for Indian standards to really bring those products, or could we do graphics also to present what we have?
Truly, a mix and match would really work. Most Indian audiences, like the other Asian audiences, like to touch feel the product, to actually really know what it is, how does it feel like, how does it operate. Because just to figure out how does it fit into their requirements. Because today, as we know, everybody's talking of Industry 4.0, which means you want to see how the product or the service, if I may say so, adapts to your specific requirements. It's no longer a shelf-based thing. So graphics is important because you may not be able to represent the entire range or the entire set of things that you can offer, but touch and feel is always important.
Touch and feel is important, but when you have a service, limited touch, limited feel, how do you do that?
With service, you need to build in certain level of interactivity, because rather than just plain speech or plain posters, if you're selling a service, how does the service work? How would the service be effective for the client? That needs to be demonstrated. So demonstration is something which is important.
All right, demo. Something completely different. Shipping. Are there any shipping challenges in India?
Well, yes and no. We have very well-defined rules for shipping and logistics. However, certain items have restrictive import policies. A lot of times clients tend to import or send in a lot of stuff which is unrelated to the exhibition stand per se, and that is where one starts getting into a bit of an issue. For example, we had a client who, along with all their shipping materials, shipped bottle of wines together, which was not listed. So that became a bit of an issue.
Okay, well, that's a clear answer. If you look at service level, like in the United States, you have this full service concept. What is basically done in India in that perspective?
See, India, like most Asian economies, goes overboard in service, if I may say so. So whatever the requirements are of a particular client, one needs clear, demonstrable, let's say, well-defined patterns of what you want, and your local partner can most definitely help you with everything. Because in India, we are used to holding the client's hand before, during, and well after the show.
Okay. Well, that's clear. Any specific regulations when you go to India, when we talk about construction, stand construction, are there any limitations, regulations?
Definitely so. For example, India, like a lot of other Asian countries, has limitations with infrastructure, which means ceiling suspensions are impossible to do in India. However, having said that, if you can share a design, there are alternates or options which are possible, because in India you need to build from ground up rather than top down. So these are the basic things. Having a local partner works best, because if you can share what your requirements are, some modifications or alterations without affecting the overall design can be implemented.
Okay, clear. When we look at hospitality, typical Indian, I mean, do you have greeters? What kind of food and snacks do you have at the booth to make the Indian audience feel warm and welcome?
See, the entire range of hospitality or interaction is possible. I would say you have to think of what your corporate philosophy is and what works best with you and your company, rather than going with a set pattern. If your services or your products go better with greeters or with more hospitality, so be it. Always stay true to what your company's requirements are, and all options are possible. So there are no dietary restrictions, there are no restrictions with alcohol, although with alcohol you do require a few permissions which can be organized through the organizer or through your local partner.
Clear on that one. Well, finally we have to pay. If we have payments, how do we settle the bills? Is this cash, credit card, by wire? What is typical in India?
Well, India, like most Asian countries, cash is king. If there is any on-site order which is not through your local partner, be it for an organizer to a third-party vendor or whatever, it needs to be settled in cash. Generally, most Indian companies will accept either of the foreign currency or rupees. Also, when you're working with a partner, wire transfers work best, like any other international venue or any international exhibition ground.
Okay, well, thank you very much. If people want to know more about doing business in India and within the exhibition industry, where do they go?
You have different options which are available. One would be the exhibition organizer, who would give you the most direct information about the particular show. There is an Indian Association of Exhibitions whom you could approach, or approach the IFS. We have members here from all parts of India, like all parts of the world, who can be best helpful to you with all the services that you require.
So we're in India too with IFS. So thank you very much, Sanjay, for your kind information. And this concludes our next episode of 10 Minutes With. And again, we say thank you for watching and see you next time.